Hey, this is Jeff from Hidden Twisties. Welcome to episode 2. Today we're going to explore Highway 15 from Silver City, New Mexico to the Gila Cliff-Dwelling National Monument, about 50 miles north. We're also going to look at Highway 35, which is another route to get there. Right after my new intro. We're going to go to the Gila Cliff-Dwelling National Monument. We're not going to visit the monument. We're just going to see the roads it takes to get there. There are 2 ways to go. One of them is from Mimbres, New Mexico, which is at the end of last week's route on 152. You take Highway 35 where it meets 152, and it ties in with Highway 15 on the way to the Cliff-Dwelling National Monument. The other route is to go from Silver City, New Mexico, which is Highway 15, all the way to the monument. Before we go, we should cover a few things. One of them is gasoline. In Silver City, there are plenty of options. I'm not going to bother mentioning them. There are several of them. But on the way there, once you leave Silver City, there's no gas until you get almost to the monument. There's a store called Doc Campbell's Post. They close at 4 p.m. I wouldn't count on getting gas there. You never know when they're going to be open or if they're going to have gas. It's a great little store to visit, though. The next thing you want to talk about is food. So food, you're limited to Silver City, because once you go north, there's nothing up there but the monument itself and the National Forest. There's no commerce at all, other than this Doc Campbell's store that I mentioned. So in Silver City, there are several restaurants. I'll show them here on the screen. One that's really good is Forest's Pizza. I recommend that. Finally, for hotels, if you're going to stay in the area for a while, there's a place called Bear Creek Cabins. It's about halfway up toward the monument, right before you get into the forest. It looks rustic, it looks old, but it's actually pretty nice, and it's clean, and it's very affordable. And it's right in the middle of all these roads. When you get up into the forest, it can be a little cooler, especially during the winter or in the morning. Generally, in the mountains, it's cool in the morning anyway. In the summer, it's going to get warm up there, but in the spring and fall, it's very nice up there in the daytime. In the winter, it might still remain cold. The good news is there's not much wind to speak of because of the hills. If you go, just plan on dressing for it. So let's talk about the ride. From Mimbres, New Mexico, on Highway 152, which was last week's ride, we're going to turn north on Highway 35. It travels about 27 miles to where it meets Highway 15. The first 10 or 12 miles of this trip is rural New Mexico. There are some curves, but it's mostly flat. There's a lot of houses and a few trailers, a couple tiny little communities that I don't even know the name of. The second half of the trip, though, about 12 miles of it, is adjacent to the forest, and it's fairly twisty. It's a nice ride. The road, though, is not in great condition. It doesn't have potholes or anything. It's just lumpy all the way. If you're on a sport bike, you're not going to enjoy that road. If you're on a Harley or a cruiser of some sort, or especially an adventure bike, you'll be fine. In fact, you'll find some places to go pretty fast. From Silver City, Highway 15 goes straight all the way to the monument and terminates at the monument. It's about 44 miles. The first half of that ride, once you leave Silver City, you climb a little bit on a pretty nice little 2-lane highway. But as soon as you get into the forest, really at the edge of the forest, the road becomes a fairly narrow, unmarked road. There are no lines, there are no lanes marked, and it's been patched a million times. But it's surprisingly smooth. I rode the Heritage Softail up there and had no problems with it. Again, a sport bike rider may not be too happy with the lumps and bumps. The second half of the road, though, where 35 meets 15 all the way to the monument, it must be taken care of by a different group. It must be a federal thing, because the road, it's not spectacular, but it's pretty smooth. And a sport bike rider will run off and leave anybody there. And it's super curvy, and it goes through the hills and mountains, and it's really beautiful. So I'm going to give 3 different ratings for this road, just because there are really 3 different types of road here. Highway 35 with its rural section and then kind of bumpy section in the curvy area, I'm going to have to give it a 5. Although the curvy area's got some nice places to look, the climb up toward the mountain is pretty nice, but the road is lumpy and bumpy. And you have to drive through 12 miles of countryside to get there. The southern part of Highway 15, on the other hand, it's also bumpy, but I really like it because it demands your attention all the time. It's not technical attention, it's more like riding a dirt bike attention. You really have to pay attention to the surface, what's coming up in the corner, how sharp the radius is it going to decrease or increase on you? I really enjoy that sort of thing. So for me, I'm going to give that road an 8. The scenery doesn't hurt. For the northern part of Highway 15, I'm going to give that a 9. The scenery is beautiful, the road's in good condition, the curves are really well planned and laid out. You can really work on technical riding skills there, braking, leaning, turning, keeping your eyes where you're supposed to keep them. It's a nice place to ride. I'm sure there's more beautiful places around the country. In fact, I already rode one for episode 3. But this road is a solid 9. So that's Highway 15 and Highway 35 in New Mexico. I hope you like them. If you like this sort of content, please subscribe to the channel and consider liking this video. It really helps out the channel a lot. Thanks, and see you next time.